Hey there, Griff Hamlin here from Blues Guitar Unleashed. Welcome and thanks for joining me. In today's video, I want to talk about something that might be a little bit tough on the index finger, and that is the first finger bend. Now, I'm going to tell you straight away before we even get started, I am using a short scale guitar. This is, basically a Les Paul, so it's a shorter scale. That does make for a little bit easier string bending. I'm using 10 gauge strings, Ernie Ball regular Slinkies. They are not extra light or anything like that. However, many famous guitar players throughout history have used very light strings. Some have also used very heavy strings. In the grand scheme of things, my experience is whatever your fingers get used to, they will work with. So whatever you have on there now is probably fine. Don't try to go change your strings just to do this bend. You might have to practice, get a little strength built up, but in my experience, practice will do more for you than changing the strings. All right, so let's talk about a couple of ideas. Now, I always attribute this particular idea to Albert King. Not that it's necessarily only him, but let's say that we're playing a G blues, right? So I'm thinking kind of sort of the 4-note solo pattern based around a G here at the 8th fret of the 2nd string. Right, so I can bend the top note of that pattern, right? From the C, I can bend up to the D. But then if I want the C note, it sounds cooler to bend to that note. So I could, right? I could move my hand very quickly. And then I'm kind of down into box 1. Or I could do it with one finger. Now, in order to do it with one finger, I want you to take a look at my hand position. Okay, and I'm not going to be able to hold that forever. But notice that in order to get that bend up to pitch, right, I have to get that B flat up to a C, a full step. Notice how my thumb comes around, and notice that I have to kind of put my whole hand into play. I'm using my middle finger underneath, sort of to help push my first finger. This is not being done by my first finger alone. Okay, so watch carefully. Right, obviously this one I have helpers behind the finger on the strings. But here, my middle finger is pushing against that first finger to get it up there. And then all I'm doing is hitting the root twice and back to the B flat. That's just a kind of a really common Albert King style ending. So we get something like, and then from where, whatever you want to do after that. But my point here is to get you started at least playing around with the idea of bending with your first finger. Now, I will be the first to admit that I often say we don't bend with the first finger. And it's true, by and large, we don't bend with the first finger. We attempt to have other fingers involved. And I, for one, bending with the first finger is a challenge. I, for one, will pretty much not do it unless I absolutely have to. Okay, I'll be the first to admit that I will work around that given the opportunity. However, sometimes it's a sound that you just want. And if that's the way it is, you just gotta do it, okay? There's another situation that comes up. Again, which is another kind of Albert King move. But you'll hear Stevie Ray Vaughan do this, like Texas Flood, I think it is, or maybe Sky's Crying. And so effectively what it is, it's taking the root and you've probably seen me do this idea. So from a root, we have the 3rd, 4th, flat 5th, and 5th, okay? Well, we can take the root, we can bend up to the 3rd from the flatted 3rd. So I'm striking my G bending that 6th fret up to the 7th fret, then bending it up to the 8th, right? Now, I'm not going to be able to get that from here to here with one finger. So I'm gonna either slide my hand up a fret to do that, or I'm gonna switch over to my middle finger. From what I just said a second ago, you can probably surmise that I'm gonna switch fingers. But it works. Right? So I'm going G, B flat to B, B flat to C, B to C sharp, C to D. And from watching, you know, like Stevie Ray Vaughan live at the El Mocambo, for example, or on Austin City Limits, you can see that he will do that as well. You know, he's not going to get all of those notes with one finger. He'll get a couple of them, but then he'll switch over to the second finger and sort of work his way up fret by fret. So believe me, there's no shame in it. And you can do it on a Strat too. I happen to have the shorter scale guitar handy because I knew that I was going to be pushing and holding and demonstrating. I gave myself a little bit of comfort with the shorter scale guitar. I can do it on a Strat, but the longer scale is going to add just a little bit more tension, and I didn't want to sit here and hold it on that higher tension. It's going to pull on your calluses too. If you haven't done first finger bends in the past, you may very well get some fingertip soreness. I mean, I know your fingers are used to playing, but there's a difference between just playing and bending. It does require more out of the calluses on your fingers. So don't be shocked if you get a little bit of tenderness on that first finger. When you first start really using these a lot, you'll get a little bit of tenderness. Same with the middle finger. You probably don't bend with the middle finger very much, right? But if you do it there, again, that's something new, something that you may not have done so much before. So in either of those instances, where you're using the first finger or the second finger for a bend instead of the third, which is probably the most common, or the fourth, expect a little bit of soreness if you practice on it for a long time or a lot of days in a row. You may get a little bit of soreness. It'll pass. Don't stop. You know, the worst thing to do when you get a little bit of tenderness in your calluses is to stop, because then it's never gonna get past it. You know, your skin just has to get past it, right? So just some ideas. It's not super difficult. Just a couple of little cool, ideas there that you might want to try that has that first finger bend in it. Just something fun to play around with today. As always, if you have guitar playing friends that you think would dig this video, please share it with them. I'm Griff Hellman from Blues Guitar Unleashed, and I will see you soon. Take care.